website when we discussed Carl Hyacин's newest book, Squeeze Me, for book club, which is set in Palm Beach. So I thought I'd put it to good use today since it's so dreary outside.
Sounds like a
Now, is that Palm Beach, Florida, or Palm Beach,
Oh,
California?
I'm sorry, Palm Beach, Florida.
All right,
Hey,
I used to live there.
Good morning, Michelle.
Hi.
Yeah, Palm Beach is really nice in Florida. I lived there for about 6 months.
Jorge, I
Well,
hope
then
you're leaving early today because we're getting another big storm.
What was that?
We're getting another big storm today, so I hope you're leaving early. And as the director, closing your library.
That's not going to happen.
I know.
He didn't even close. They didn't even close his library for COVID in the fall.
Oh, we
You
got
did-
furloughed. We got furloughed, yeah.
No, in November. You guys didn't close again, did you?
Oh, no, we didn't close. Because if we closed, everyone was fired again.
Yeah, we're still closed.
We just opened Monday and it's like my brain has, well, it's always melted, but I can't remember anything. We never know where we're sitting. It's just very interesting. Hey, Jazz, do we get to see your face?
You if you want to watch me eat breakfast.
You know what? I was thinking about that. Michelle didn't send me anything to eat. So if my stomach growls.
Hey, Michelle, quick question. Was there an agenda or anything like that?
No, but there's a couple I want to talk about a couple things. We never really have agendas because it's very.
I was just curious about summer reading. That's the only reason.
We'll bring it up. We still don't know what we're doing here, so.
Well, I'll be in the office in 5 minutes, probably.
Hey, Jessica, don't worry about being on desk. We all know what that's like.
Yeah, I'm at the concierge desk.
Yes, I can see, Brittany. Boy, you guys have a fancy name. We just call it the greeter.
Ours is the welcome desk.
Are we recording the meeting today?
Yes.
Okay, I can only stay until 10 o'clock, then I have a staff meeting on Zoom. So I'll just check in to see how everybody's doing. I don't really have anything pressing to say, but I'll at least stick around as long as I can.
Hey, Michelle, you probably have this somewhere, but I have no memory. If we wanted to send our newsletters electronically, do you have a list or do I just have to ask people to email me if they want one?
Let's just submit it to the Google group.
Yeah, okay.
I'm trying to refer people to that as much as possible because.
All right.
It's one place to consolidate everything.
Yeah, I will contact you because right now that's not up my.
Can you upload mine onto the group then, Michelle, since I emailed it to you?
Yep. I'll do that.
That's what I'll do. I'll email them to you.
Or you can do that.
Hey, Courtney.
Hey,
How are you?
good. How are you?
Good. I want to compliment Courtney in front of everybody. She did an amazing webinar. The DEI, which I always get confused, the exact words, diversity, equality, and integration. Am I right? Inclusion, sorry. But Courtney gave this awesome webinar, and don't ask me when it was because every day is the same day, but it was just really great.
Oh, thanks.
So we have 44 people registered for this meeting. I don't know if we're ever going to be able to go back to doing in-person meetings.
You could do hybrid, you know,
Yeah.
those who are within, 10 miles of the library can join in person. And then the rest of us can just save the gas and not have to worry about driving in a thunderstorm and join via Zoom.
Yeah.
All we have to do is look at your smiling face, Michelle. It doesn't matter who else is in the room. As long as we can connect with you. We're okay.
Oh God, do you really want to see that first thing in the morning?
Yes.
I just want snacks next time, unless Jez will make me
My
breakfast.
director would go for me sending snacks to everybody that registered, but
Yeah, my breakfast is cereal, Leona. Like, it's not fancy.
That's okay.
Yes.
I'm too embarrassed to eat a bowl of something in front of everybody because I always have to wear something so I don't spill.
I'd say one of my bad experiences was when I was trying to find a job. So I went to Midwinter ALA in DC. I lived there with his girlfriend. And it was my first time. So I didn't know what to expect. And one of the to come to breakfast with them. And he raved about this place. And he says, I'm going to order you my most favorite breakfast. And it was for a job at I didn't want to wear the suit I'd been wearing all week for, stuff. Kind of went a little more casual, and I bought from my was favorite food was blueberry pancakes with lots and lots of sauce. And I was like so nervous that I was going to spill on this white, beautiful dress that my brother's girlfriend had given. And I was like, I felt like saying, seriously, dude, you want to interview me over breakfast with blueberries and pancakes? But it worked out.
did anybody attend ALA Midwinter this year virtually?
I
No.
went to one thing, book buzz. I did
Okay.
virtually, but
Oh, you're talking about Alma?
Yeah,
With the
I did Alma.
15 publishers.
right. I could send the link if anybody wants it. So there was quite a few books that are coming out, and it's like, whoa. It was a nice quick. I think each publisher did like about 6.
Just be warned that the slideshow is like 150 pages, something like that. Because there were many
Yeah.
publishers. It was very hard to download.
Yeah, I couldn't take notes. I was on the public service desk when I was doing it, so it was a little hard.
I bet.
Challenging.
Okay, coolest
Very
mask. Jessica wins, face down. Sorry, Patrick.
You didn't even see mine.
Oh, well,
Yeah, I
you
like
put it
Jessica's
on.
mask.
I've got tie-dye socks on too. So you can understand.
Very nice, Michelle. Very nice. Jessica, are you double masked? Ripple mask. Whoa. I want to take a picture of that.
They bought us those plexiglass thing, or what are they called?
The
face
shield.
shields.
Yeah.
But I don't want to wear that.
That's my work from home day, so I don't need a mask.
Oh my God, Jessica has socks to match. That is too funny.
I got the banned books mask.
Nice.
Oh, that's cute.
Now I want to go get mine.
Let's have show and tell. Everybody show your mask.
If anyone is a runner, which I'm not, this is made out of anti-wicking material. And it's the first thing that I found that I don't need a, whatever that little piece is.
The nose clamper.
Yeah, and it seals perfectly.
Your glasses still fog up with it on?
Do I what?
Your glasses fog up with it on?
Of course.
Yeah.
Jorge made it.
Yes, I made it to my home. If you know what this background is, you get 5 points.
River Grove Library.
It's a Disney movie.
No, that's not what River Grove. That's what he wished River Grove looks like.
You all do. It's a background from The Incredibles. It's the living room.
That's right, yeah. I just did the outside of my bowl.
Lisa. She's got a cool
Hi,
mask.
Leona. How are you?
I'm good, Lisa. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. This is actually going to be my last meeting. I have transferred programming duties to another librarian. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, I'm taking over the fiction collection as well as a couple other smaller collections. So,
You can do both. I do both.
yeah.
Just do everything.
Right. So, yeah, so hopefully Shannon will hop on tonight or this morning, but yeah, I've transferred everything to her. So.
Lisa, make sure she contacts me so I can send her an invitation to join the Google group.
Okay, awesome. I will do that.
Is everybody in the Google group?
Can you send me the link? I don't know if I am.
Brittany?
I'm not sure if I am.
Yes, can I get a welcome to this side of
I don't know
town?
if I am.
Hey,
'Cause I'm
there's
more south.
Danfinity. She's coming to my program. I'm so excited to tell you guys about it. If you didn't read in the listserv yesterday.
I'm gonna put.
Hey, Brittany, how are things over at Stickney?
Things are going good. Yeah, I like it. I like, being on this side of town. That was, I was really out far south, so it's, it's different. I'm very familiar with the area. But I like it. Everybody's been really, really nice. It has definitely been an adjustment, so I haven't been able to go to meetings because I do a lot, of the back end stuff. I don't do as much programming as I used to. So it's good to be here today.
I would love to share some programs with you to work together, and I think that would be a really great thing, Michelle, if we talked about that today.
We are going to talk about that. Patrick's going to talk about that in particular from Westchester.
Good, okay.
He's got a little presentation for us about a special project he's been working on with Rails, so. How many people?
Do you want me to talk about that now, or?
You know what? Go ahead. Let me see if I
Okay.
can screen share with you, Patrick.
Okay, well, I have a spreadsheet to screen share, but I actually think my assistant director, Chris Jacobson, is on this meeting, and she was gonna kind of introduce it.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Thanks for having us. We are very excited to share an idea that we have been working on since November. We've been working with Dan Bostrom of Rails to create a virtual programming consortium that would allow all Rails members to participate. And basically, it would arrange for group purchasing of some really big programs, right? The consortium will take advantage of Zoom in that we can get a speaker from literally anywhere in the world. And the other advantage of Zoom is that we can share with tens of thousands of people at one time. And as you know, if you band a lot of people together, as a lot of libraries in the Rails Consortium, if you band them together, our purchasing costs will go down per library. We are very excited about this. And I think mostly we're excited because the beauty of this program is that we will be able to offer programming to small libraries, as well as libraries at a very reduced cost. Because we'll be spreading the cost through all the libraries. Before I let Patrick explain the design of our program to you, I'm going to tell you that we have already booked one speaker for this spring, and we're this close to booking our second speaker. And we're very excited. We have talked with Penguin Random House to get John Sanford to speak with us in the middle of April. Yeah, you know John Sanford. He's that guy who's competing with James Patterson for shelf space in the library. Yeah, he has a book coming out in the middle of April called Ocean Prey, and we're very excited. Like I say, we're tentatively scheduled this close to having him speak around the same time that his book comes out. By the way, he's very happy to try programming this way too. So it's a win-win for all of us. Our other speaker is the award-winning, nationally best-selling journalist, Alex Kotlowitz. He is the author of There Are No Children Here and An American Summer. He is also an Emmy Award-winning documentary person. He won an Emmy for the documentary The Interrupters, which is great. It is about Chicago communities banding together to fight violence within the city, to interrupt the violence in the city. If you are not familiar with any of those, I recommend them all to you. That's Alex Kotlowitz. And as I said, we are this close to getting John Sanford to speak here at our library, and to all of you. So with that being said, I'm going to turn the screen over to Patrick, who is going to explain the, oh, you have a,
yeah. Will you be able to tell us those dates as soon as possible? Because like we're going to be getting ready for our March and April. If I wanted to participate, we have less than a week till we put in for our newsletter.
Well, absolutely. Alex Kotlowitz is already confirmed for May 6th.
Okay.
And John Sanford, we're discussing a date in the middle of April.
Okay, I'm sorry. I, of course, am sitting here with no pen, so I'm putting it in my phone, and then.
Well, you'll be able to contact us through the listserv here, or you can contact us directly. Patrick and I will give you our email addresses.
Okay.
No problem.
That's wonderful.
We know we're just kind of tempting you all, and we want to, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions you'll want to ask, and we will answer them. Absolutely.
Do you have a time
Absolutely. All right, let's have Patrick tell you the nitty gritty of how the design of our program works. Patrick?
Okay. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Would I be able to do a screen share? I have a real simple kind of sample spreadsheet to share. Let's see.
It's not letting me let any participants share the screen. It's only letting me I keep playing around with it. Oh, there you go.
Okay. 1 second here. Can you see it or?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So our business manager and director came up with a really brilliant cost structure for this consortium. So we would front the cost of like a Zoom webinar license for a large capacity audience. And then Rails libraries, all the participating libraries will simply buy the number of like seats that you want. So in other words, the cost for a library to participate will not depend on your size. Instead, you'll simply buy the number of seats that you want. And the more seats that are purchased overall, then the cheaper the price per seat, if that makes sense. Here's my spreadsheet here. And so what you kind of want to pay attention here is column C and column D. These are our costs for the program. So this is the Zoom webinar license. And this is, we just threw this in, this is a projection on like a closed captioning fee to make it accessible. And the Zoom license fee, you may actually think this looks inexpensive, but we're gonna doing 2 programs on 1 license. So that brings the cost way down. So using this model, and then over here is the audience sizes. So this here would be like a Zoom license for 5 to 10,000 people, and then the next tier will be 10,000 to 20,000, and then so on. Okay. So the most any library using these costs would pay per seat is 69 cents per seat. That means if you want to buy like 10 seats for your library for your patrons, it would be $6.90. If you wanted to buy 100 seats, it would only be $69. Okay. Now, the more seats that are purchased, that cost comes down. So let's say actual attendance is like 8,000 people. Let's plug this in here. Well, then the cost per seat is only 43 cents. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, I mean, if it does sound like a lot of people, I mean, we're talking, thousands of people, perhaps, north of 10,000 people. If you think that there's over 400 public libraries alone within Rails, and if each library were, just to make the math easy, to get 10 seats each, I mean, that's 4,000. That's an audience capacity of 4,000 seats right there. But with these caliber speakers, obviously our expectations are much higher. Now for a speaker like Alex Kotlowitz, who does charge a speaking fee because he's not on book tour, there would be an additional expense, so it would be more expensive. Again, that cost would be distributed throughout Rails, throughout the participating libraries. As far as marketing, for like the John Sanford program that was mentioned, the tentative, Penguin Random House publicity department would help market that event virtually. Attendees who would want to, if you guys have ever hosted author events before, attendees frequently want to get books and have them autographed. Anderson's Bookshop, which is within the Rails region, people could order these books through Anderson's and get a autographed copy or an autographed book plate. And they would help market the event too. And on a local level, each participating library would really only have to market this event to their own patrons the same way you're already doing with virtual events. So that's pretty much all I have to say, unless there are any questions. I mean, this is the first time we've announced this project outside our conversations with Rails. We're going to follow this little presentation up today with an email on the programming listserv later. And just filling everybody in and inviting libraries to partner with us. There will be further details in that email, and as well as contact information for our programming team.
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm curious to know, I'm Janine from Peerless Heights. Hello, everybody. I'm curious how that works with the registration, Patrick. If you don't, I have a couple questions.
Sure.
I have many, for our virtual programs, I get many people from all over the country registering for our programs. So if I were to buy, say, 500 seats or whatever, how does that work? Like they have to register through our particular library to be, to use up those 500 seats? Does that make sense?
I suppose your registration procedure on like the local level, like you would kind of just do that the way that you do for any other programs.
Okay.
So in other words, at the, like there's not going to be, we're not going to micromanage like local procedures like that. Like, you know what works for best for your user population, and your staff's probably accustomed to procedures. I would just say to go with whatever works for you.
Okay, so we would have to limit to whatever amount of seats we have purchased, correct?
Right, yeah. So in other words, say you purchased 100 seats or 500 seats, right, that would be you'd be operating within that.
Yeah, and if we
that
had
capacity.
more than 500, that's all we have, and they wouldn't be able to go over 500.
Right, because ultimately, there would be we'd be at the mercy of the top limit of the license.
Okay, another question. Okay, so if we don't know the exact price until we see how many people actually are attend the program. So do we pay you, or whoever we pay, do we pay after the program? Because then we know exactly how many people attended, or how does that work?
Well, no, it's kind of, I don't know if, Chris, you may want to.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you have an in-person program at your library and you pay $350 to have someone come to your library. It doesn't depend on how many people come to the program. It can be 10 people or it could be 500 people. It's still the same cost. So that's the model we're going with.
Okay.
Yeah, Leona.
To kind of piggyback on the last questions, how about the opposite direction? What happens if Alex Kotlowitz is so popular that we want to buy extra seats if they're available? Can you do that if your demand exceeds your number of seats?
Yeah, there are some, like, I guess we're going to allow for certain contingencies like that. That's like a really good question. There will be more details about that forthcoming in this email that we're going to send out on the programming list, sir. Alex Kotlowitz is an awesome speaker, by the way.
Yeah,
and he's a Chicagoan, so
he is.
I mean, it's just great.
Do you have who decides this? Do you have a committee that chooses the speakers, or who does that?
Well, because we are, what would you say? We're kind of like the lead, we'll say like the lead library at this point. Our programming team are the ones who, we developed kind of a short list, and we've gone about the work. I mean, it's taken a while to retain these speakers and to talk to their kind of gatekeepers. But this is something that could be replicated by any library within Rails who, has the reserves, the financial reserves to front the cost of it. Now, obviously that's going to, other libraries are going to pay to participate, and that will, you'll recoup what you pay up front. But going forward, any library that wants to do this same thing, they want to take the lead on it, they would, they could pursue the authors of the speakers they're interested in.
Absolutely. We've created a model, as Patrick said, that can be replicated by anyone within the consortium.
Right.
It's not limited to just public libraries.
Yeah, and it's not limited to authors. I mean, it could be anyone.
Anybody.
So in a lot. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, will there be like somebody that controls like, okay, there's the Zoom capacity is 10,000. Leona got 500, but she's got 30 more people that want to come in, but her library is full. Will there be somebody that will be able to say, well, Stickney's got extra room, they can maybe apply through there? Is there going to be like somebody controlling?
Yeah, oh yeah, there will be kind of like a centralized.
Where there's space.
Yeah, centralized, I guess.
Registration, I don't know exactly.
Exactly.
I can see like the high schools participating in this too.
Absolutely.
The potential is really kind of limitless. I mean, the only real theoretical limit is the maximum possible Zoom capacity is 50,000 attendees.
And this is, yeah, I'm sorry.
But I mean, as you can see, I mean, looking at the spreadsheet that I shared, this is the spreadsheet. This is the structure of the program. I mean, who the speaker is just, and what those costs are, you just pretty much plug in.
Yeah.
You know,
speakers now doing by population also, like,
what?
Okay, our speakers making their costs be by population. So like speaking to 1,000 people, so my cost, so I'm going to charge you guys $200, but I'm speaking to 10,000 people, so my cost goes up to $2,000. Even though I'm one person, I'm wondering if you're doing graduated scales. I worked in newspapers.
So
I would think that would be the responsibility of the host library to negotiate that. As we have it set up for us right now, we have determined the speaker's fee before we actually sent out before we'll send out the invitation. I want to say one other thing too. This model for programming will still be popular after we open from the pandemic. It's because it's not limited to, 100 people in your community room or whatever. We can still do this, forever. Yes.
I have a question or actually I should be asking Patrick. In this spreadsheet, where you say Zoom fee, have you already incorporated the speaker fee?
Well, this example, this is an example where there's no speaking fee. So if it's an author that's just doing a book tour, they won't charge a speaking fee, even if they're with Scribner's or Penguin or something like that. If it's part of the book tour and you've arranged for the event through like the publicist. But in something like Alex Kotlowitz, he does charge a speaking fee. Would be an additional column here. Speaking fee would make the overall program more expensive, but because the cost would be just spread out over all the partnering libraries, it would still be affordable. You know what I mean?
Okay, here's another question with regards to that. Let's use your first, the 5,000 to 10,000 capacity. Let's say there are 20 libraries that want to participate. If we should look at the maximum cost per seat as the maximum amount that we will have to pay, I guess I'm trying to figure out, what if you don't fill the 5,000 seats?
Right, that's a good question. There does reach a point where in a scenario that you're describing where it kind of isn't, I guess, feasible to do it, but with these are some like kind of almost like stratosphere level speakers. You know what I mean? These are like very high caliber speakers. The likelihood that only 20 libraries would across Rails, 20 out of 400 would not want to participate to host a national best-selling and award-winning author is kind of like, it's unlikely. But
I understand that, but I just want to make sure, like, if I go back to the director and say, guaranteed, this would be the most expensive that we would have to pay if you worked out the spreadsheet for us.
That's a good question. We actually with our speakers have a bottom. We have to meet the 5,000 before we will, it's in the contract that we have to meet 5,000 or it's a no-go.
Right, yeah.
And we have a date for that so that we're not leaving the speaker hanging until the day before his program. We'll have a date with that for that planned, and there will be a bottom. So that maximum cost truly is your maximum cost.
Okay. Who's fronting this? Meaning, how far in advance would you need payment from the libraries? Because
No, the payment would come after the event.
okay, because you know that most libraries don't pay until day of.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
in this,
so we would just sign something that says, this is what we want for that amount, and we'll have the check cut or whatever.
precisely, yeah. In the forthcoming email on the listserv, there will be information about that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, one other question. I'm just wondering, do we, if we join this consortium, is it that we have to participate with all the programs that are proposed, or do we just pick and choose which one we think will apply to our community?
That's the beauty of this. You can pick and choose.
Okay,
And
thank you.
yes.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, the way something like this would work over time is that different libraries would choose to be the lead library. I guess there is the whole issue of having to front the cost, but I don't know. I think that kind of makes for a richer, kind of just stronger consortium. Is the more views and participation you have at the in decisions like that.
We have a question in the chat room.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's about the Zoom fee. And the question is, are the Zoom fees for just a single program or for 1 month? The reason that we have our 2 programs scheduled for May 6th in the middle of April is to take advantage of the Zoom costs for a larger capacity. So we will be purchasing a Zoom license for 50,000 people. If it go,
for example,
for this one. Yeah, we don't expect 50,000 for each one, but our regular Zoom fees will apply the other months of the year unless we're hosting one of the large programs.
Right, exactly. So like we would do a webinar, we would buy a 1-month webinar license that would give us like 30 or 31 days. And because we would be doing 2 programs while we have that license, it cuts the Zoom per program, it lowers the Zoom cost.
Yeah, exactly. So it really is advantageous to book 2 presenters within a 30-day period.
I have a question.
Yes.
Has anybody been on a Zoom with this large of a capacity? I mean, because I've been on some and, like they've definitely had issues, but 50,000 seems like a lot for people to log in at the same time. So I'm just thinking about, so has anyone attended, a Zoom with thousands of people?
That's a good question. Like our IT, that was one of our early kind of questions, and we talked to our IT contractor about that, and they have been on Zoom events that size, like transcontinental, with like a audience like spread out across different continents, and it is possible. I mean, they didn't experience any problem in executing the program. I think individually, I mean, we've never had a problem with our Zoom webinars as far as we've done some larger ones too. Yeah. We had Jay Shefsky from Chicago Tonight. We had
Emily Grassley.
Emily Grassley. And I think so far, as long as like the hosting and co-hosts are have a good connection, so on. There should be no problem whatsoever.
Yeah.
I know
We
that-
also, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm just thinking back to last March, can't believe it's been almost a year, and John Kabat-Zinn was offering weekly meditations. And I'm just curious, has anyone, unfortunately, it was Zoom bound, let me put it that way. And there were people from all over the world there. I have not had any issue with Zoom bombers, but like Brittany said, with a group this large, that's making me think like, how are we going to protect? And also, how are you guys able to handle at Westchester? I mean, I know nothing about IT, honestly. Ask Jess. There's everything for me. But I wonder, like, what happens if you can't, if your bandwidth doesn't handle it, or maybe that's individual.
Right, the bandwidth the bandwidth question specifically came up with our IT contractor early on, and bandwidth is not an issue. Bandwidth doesn't really figure into this webinar.
There are two questions in the chat room that I'm going to address. The first one is there diversity and inclusion consideration in who the presenters are? Well, that's one of the wonderful things about this kind of programming, is that any library within Rails can be the host. And hopefully with that many people involved, we will be able to address EDI more appropriately. The other question was in regards to registration. And that's something that's going to come in the packet that will be sent out to the listserv later. But basically, you will be responsible for your own registration the way you always have been for programming.
Patrick, this is a webinar, not a meeting that you're doing, right?
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
I think that's what people are getting a little confused about. Webinars are different from meetings.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I was going to pop in and say that what they're proposing is structured differently than what we're doing right now. I've been in Zoom webinars, and you can see the host and the speaker, and you can't see any of the participants. They can't interact. They can't Zoom bomb. They can just listen. And it's on the back end also, it's just structured differently from like a bandwidth perspective.
Yeah.
On the diversity thing, what I wanted to say is kind of like a diversity of lead libraries, like over time, would lend itself to a diversity of speakers.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're not proposing that like we're going forward, be the ones retaining all the authors and imposing our taste or whatever on the consortium. These are the authors that we've come up with to kick it off, and someone else wants to be a lead library and arrange the speaker. I mean, we'd be happy to buy seats.
Yeah, as Patrick said, not only authors, but anybody. And basically we can have presenters from anywhere on the planet. I mean, this is limitless. As Leona said, she was on a webinar with people from all over the world, and we can do that. Yeah.
And another thing, I mean, the last thing that I want to just kind of emphasize is, think about like the Pearl City Library, who probably doesn't, smaller rural library, maybe they don't get the same, they don't have the same resources as us, they could buy 10 seats for $6.90 and bring something to their community that would otherwise be, totally not feasible.
Yeah.
This is really cool. I know that Catherine from Chillicothe,
yes,
if I'm pronouncing it properly, she seems to, I mean, you guys are obviously doing this in the background as your own library, and so appreciate this. This is wonderful. But she, I think, kicked off the idea of this real collaboration, and or at least was the first one to mention it out loud. And it sounds like you guys have been doing incredible background work, and I love the idea. I mean, as a matter of fact, because of Catherine, I'm getting together with South Holland Library and Evergreen Park to do a series of programs that we would not have been able to afford ourselves. And I just love this idea that you can buy a seat for 69 cents.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. For a major speaker, you know. And we've talked to Dan Bostrom very many times, very many Zoom meetings with Rails, and we have this ongoing correspondence, and he's very enthusiastic about it too.
Yeah, I think we've worked through a lot of the what ifs with our model.
Yeah.
That's why we're very comfortable presenting it now.
Michelle, I think that this would be really cool if, once this took off with Westchester, if we almost formed a subcommittee with, you know, as many people as wanted to be on it, just so we could do DEI and make sure things are included.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then, you know, if Westchester wants to continue to take the lead, because our IT staff is one person who comes once a week, and please don't trust me with something this large. You know, it's just not my thing. But I mean, there have been lots of times that I've wanted to have people but could not afford them. And, you know, it was just really cool that we're doing something with libraries. I've never been to South Holland before, but why shouldn't, you know, their people see the same thing that we're going to see?
Yes.
So
I'm in the south suburbs, and we down here we're a bit jealous of north of 55. Is a big joke that y'all get. It seems like north of 55 gets these really cool programs, and we can't afford them. And we have done like one-offs where we've partnered with our local libraries to get certain programs going. But I hear talk in some of the programming groups, and oh yeah, it's just I'm going to drop $300. Oh, that's a great price. It's like, no, we're limited to like more closer to between 100 and 225 for a program. And so it's like, oh boy, I wish I could share that. And I'm loving virtual because we're going to be, we're creating like a virtual team track that's going to keep going along with the physical track. So this is wonderful. I know a bunch of libraries that would love this, like Glenbridge.
I think our director later today or tomorrow is going to follow up with an email on the programming listserv, and it's going to be kind of a little bit more, some different details and kind of a call for participation.
A quick question, if I can. Since as libraries, we are grouping up to pay this huge cost on Zoom, is there a possibility in the future, if this goes well, to branch out to teen services and youth services? Only because I know this is the adult services programming group, but you think of James Patterson as an adult author, we might be able to tag team him and do a children's book talk and even make the cost even cheaper. I don't know, I think that's just an idea.
Yeah,
oh, absolutely.
Sounds great idea.
Yeah, you're all thinking. I'm seeing things on the chat room. Would musical performances be considered? Yeah, the possibilities are pretty endless. It's up to you to decide who you think would work on a Zoom program like this. I think these are all great ideas.
One thing about authors too that we kind of realize is that so 5 years ago, if an author was going to do a book tour, they'd be going to like Barnes and Noble and so on. But now that everything's virtual, libraries are a very attractive option for for authors and publicists, because we have a built-in we have a built-in audience, you know, and so maybe in the past the idea of doing like a library event for, you know, a big name author would not really be realistic. I mean, now I think It's a very attractive option for them.
I don't know who put, I'm sorry, I can't look at the chat and listen at the same time. I'm not that talented. Someone was asking about DEI. I'm just thinking about the webinar that Courtney spoke at last week or the week before. And I was so impressed with what she had put together. And then I'm thinking, God, I don't have those same connections in my town, but how cool, to get some big name authors in DEI. I would love if somehow we could set up an advisory committee. Of course, I'd love to nominate people, but just don't turn away. And obviously Courtney, but it just seems like, it sounds like suggestion wise, and of course Brittany, who's always finding new stuff. We're all finding new stuff, but it just seems like, you know, the power of the hive mind to come up with things and people that we would have never thought of before. But I love the way Jorge said, you know, what about like James Patterson, who does YA books? I mean,
Yeah, it's a brilliant idea. It's a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, this kind of programming really allows us to get these great programmers. I'm in contact with someone, and I can't say her name right now, but I'm really excited to say that I'm 2 degrees separated from her. This world-renowned person is like, oh my gosh, I'm only 2 degrees separated from this person. So our opportunities are endless, the possibilities here.
Yeah, the real strength is in participation, though. I mean, the more Rails libraries we get participating and you know, buying these seats, you know, virtual seats, the lower the cost is.
So we'll be getting an email, you're saying, that will get all the details in this then?
Yes. Yeah, later today or tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yep.
And I have put Patrick's and my email addresses on the chat. Please feel free to ask us any questions. Also, you can ask questions during via the listserv, the programming listserv. We'll keep our eyes on that. And that's a good way to share programming ideas, possibilities, is through the listserv.
Well, let me say I appreciate you guys for doing this hard work and for sharing it with us. Yeah, because I don't think that we would have had an opportunity like this. John Sanford actually is very popular at our library. Like I'm sure many of you he is. But I do appreciate you guys and your hard work on this.
Well, thank you very much. We're more than happy to share. We're very excited to share.
Yeah, and the more the merrier. Just we want everybody in on it. So I mean, it doesn't. I don't know. That's all I have to say really about that.
Yeah.
Jez, did you want to jump in and talk about what you wanted to talk about here?
Yeah, and that might even affect some of these costs that we're talking about. Zoom did an update over the weekend. They broke everything on Monday and then they fixed it again. One of the new features is closed captioning that is free now. It used to be that you had to either assign somebody to closed caption like while people are talking, or you had to bring in an outside program or outside, transcriptor. It is AI, so it may not be perfect.
Yeah.
It does seem to be pretty good, but it is a free option, which is huge. For these larger events, I personally would still consider, something more professional. You can get a transcript, that sort of thing, just because there are so many people watching. But for most programs, I think this is a huge step for accessibility. I personally watch closed captions on everything I can. I kind of rely on that. So having it in Zoom makes me so happy. So I'll put the link in the chat here for where to find it on their website. They don't advertise these things very well, unfortunately. they don't make announcements necessarily. But you can set it at an account level. Basically, you just say like, I want to give people the option. And then in each meeting or webinar, you can do it in both. All you have to do is from your like toolbar, could be at the bottom, could be at the top of your page, wherever you put it. There will be a button that just says CC and says live transcript. And you click on that and it'll give you the 3 options: to assign somebody, to use an outside thing, or to enable auto transcription. And once you click auto transcription, it lets patrons know, hey, this is an option, and they can choose to turn it on or not. So once you have it set up in your account, which was pretty simple, you can turn it on for any webinar, for any meeting, and it's an option then for patrons to watch those closed captions.
Thank you, Jez. And that reduces our cost by another $200.
Yeah,
Fabulous.
It's a whole new world every day.
By the way, Michelle, thanks for letting me speak and talking to me about this in advance.
Of course, I'm not a dictator, so. Not yet.
Sure.
Jorge mentioned earlier he wants to talk about summer reading. We want to do that now. I know some people are going to be leaving because they've got other meetings and stuff going on.
Yeah, sorry. I'm in 2 meetings now. So real quick here, just for summer reading program. I'm thinking of going on to the app-based using Reader Zone, since Beanstack is a little bit more expensive for us. Has anyone used Reader Zone, or is there any suggestions on how to use that, or where is everyone going with summer reading right now?
I'm embarrassed to say I can't even remember the name of the summer reading program we use, because we just started last summer and I was on medical leave and I'm supposed to know how to do this and I don't. Beanstack, that's it, Beanstack.
And we're using
Read
Read Squared. Yeah.
Yeah. Does your staff hate it as much as my staff hates it? Yeah. We're using it again.
Yeah, I don't like Beanstack at all.
Sporadically started using it last year, and then everybody who was in our children's department, or not everybody, most of the people left. So we've got almost a whole new crew in there, and we all hate it across the board. So I think we're just gonna go like old school and do like Google, because we can't use Google stuff anymore for stuff. We have to use Microsoft. Do like forms and stuff like that, and keep track of it with spreadsheets, because we hate that app.
Yeah.
Okay with it, the staff hated it.
Once we got used to it, we were able to figure things out, but it did take a while. It was a huge learning curve. We are planning on doing kind of a hybrid, using Read Squared and paper, depending on where we are with this coronavirus thing. But I see Bellwood said they're going to all paper. So yeah.
Old school.
Old school.
I mean, we've never
Does
not
anybody
done
use
paper.
does anybody use the one from Evanced?
We left
They used to have a
Evanced
meeting.
to go to
Okay.
Beanstack.
Yeah, we have both. When we don't have, we Beanstack for the reading program for kids. We did do the Evanced a couple of years back for the adult, but we dropped it. So we just have that as a calendar. But we'll probably be paper. Oh no, and then we did Google Sheets last year, I think it was.
All right, then that's a little helpful. I was just curious on specifically Reader Zone, since I'm new to that one. I think that's one of the oddballs in the group of apps out there. Thank you.
We also use 1,000 books before kindergarten, Jessica. Shannon, just jump in. There's too many people, just jump in.
This is my first time and I haven't taken a shower yet, so you're gonna see me in my hair. Hi. So I just found out the other day. Hi, I'm new. I'm if for those of you that know Lisa Momeyer-Court, I am now Lisa Momeyer-Court, but my name's Shannon Kismerchek, but I'm the programming librarian at Lamont. So and Lisa's passing all these wonderful things down to me. But with that, that means I am taking on summer reading for the first time. I've always been a part of it. I was at Oak Lawn Library for 13 years, but my manager and director are gung-ho on making sure that we have a very large kickoff. How many of you are planning a kickoff party, as things have done in the past pre-COVID? Also, how many of you close your libraries for kickoffs? That is my question. Those are my concerns right now, and I'm trying to figure out how to plan this. So any sort of even side conversation as far as you shooting me an email would be lovely. I'll put my email down if you guys have any recommendations, because I know this could probably go off on a tangent. But I just have some concerns, and rightfully so, because Lamont has very high numbers still. It's going down, but it's still high. So maybe any thoughts would be great. Thank you.
We used to do a kickoff party like back in the old times, pre-COVID, and we found that it was mostly people just wanted to come and register. They didn't want to really hang around and do a million things. They were busy. The kids just got out of school, you know, whatever. So, and then we would do an end party also. And it was just like between that and the actual summer reading, we were just, our staff was exhausted. So we stopped doing the kickoff and we just kind of like, it starts on this day, you can sign up on this day, that's it. And then we switched over to just doing a celebration at the party at the end of summer reading. I don't know what we're doing this year because of COVID. I have no idea. We're having a planning meeting soon about it. So that's what we used to do. Not sure what we're doing now.
Angela from Aurora said that they're doing a finishers party. I think that's an awesome idea to buy some more time.
It's what we're considering. We haven't made the official decision yet, but that's, yeah. I used to be a children's librarian, and we did a kickoff party, and it was the same thing. Everybody came, grabbed their log and left. It was kind of a waste of money. And then we just rented out the pool, passed out some popsicles at the end of the summer, and that was always a bigger hit, and we were exhausted and it took no work on our part. So I would do that. I got rid of registration a long time ago, so I think is also something that you could, then you wouldn't need a kickoff party, because we just counted numbers and whatever log so we just gave up all of we don't need people's names, we don't care, we just want to get the numbers. So
that's a great idea.
They just grabbed a log and we numbered all the logs, and at the end of the summer we saw that we had however many went out, and that's all we did.
We're getting a new building, hopefully by the end of the summer. It's been going really well. So I am assuming that, I actually don't assume anything. We're hoping it'll be done by the end of summer, and I have not been privy to any of the summer reading kickoff plans, but I would think, rather than assume, that because of the new building, between that and COVID, we would probably think about a finishing party. Thanks to Angela. Brittany, what about Stickney? Stickney always has, well, you weren't there last summer, were you?
No, I was not here last summer, but because of COVID, they have not done their block party.
Okay, because they do an amazing, amazing summer reading kickoff for being such a tiny library. Really.
Yeah. We're thinking about handing out maybe ice cream or Italian ice as a kickoff. But yeah, thinking, thinking about what Michelle said, people just come and they want to hang out. I have a question about promotional. How are you guys promoting summer reading outside of your newsletters? Is anyone sending out any special mailers or doing any thing? I think we need some promotional ideas.
I think we're getting the big iReads banner to put by curbside.
Not a clue. But I can find out and get back to you. Luckily, that's not my area, the summer read.
Yeah, I know I haven't
We
done
usually-
summer reading in 5-6 years, maybe longer.
We usually print out a bunch of flyers that go out in the kids' backpacks in their packet, like the last week in May, I think it is, including what we're going to be doing for adults and for kids, for everyone. And then we put it up on, we put different summer reading is coming kind of teasers on Nextdoor. Do you guys use that ever? It seems to be a good draw in our area because the community gets its news that way. And I guess Nextdoor has just started allowing libraries to get like a business page, which is free. You just attach it. Like I had been doing it off of my own personal account in Nextdoor and then putting everything up. But now you can have your library be we're just leaning over to our libraries having their own page to advertise on. So we're kind of treating it that way.
While we're talking about summer reading, can we talk about programs for summer reading?
Talk about whatever programs you want now.
Don't get me started because I have some really awesome.
Don't make me mute you, Leona.
Tonight, if anybody's bored, I have Gary Wenstrup coming to do the Beach Boys, which is perfect between the snow and the freezing single digits that are coming. And I'm sure most of you know about Gary, but the best thing about him is he's efficient and concise and does everything within an hour, and everybody loves him. So I think at this point he's like 200 or 225. I can't remember because I always book these people like 6 to 8 months in advance. But for summer reading, like I said before, when Patrick and Chris were talking about grouping up, when Catherine from Chillicothe was talking about the Museum of Bad Art, I don't know how many of you are using books Color My World as the summer reading theme, but we scheduled a 3-part series with the Museum of Bad Art. And so far, I can't remember which libraries had them, but they got rave reviews, and I'm really looking forward to them coming because there's some of it's adult stuff and some of it is kid stuff. So we're kind of covering it all and sharing the cost, which is really nice. Also, you guys remember the Illinois Humanities Rhodes Scholars? I have a woman coming who used to work at the Newberry Library. She's up, I think, in Arlington Heights now, but she is talking about postcards from the past, and that'd be a really easy, color my world, have people make their own postcards type of thing. So that's what I've been thinking about for summer reading. And I'm also waiting to see, what does the Farmer's Almanac say? Because I mean, we really want to go for outdoor programming. And I'd like everybody else. So Laurel, you're doing MOBA too. Yeah, I say anybody who wants to, MOBA is in Museum of Bad Art. I'm sure you all saw this and I don't need to repeat it. So, but they're in Boston and she's so easy to work with. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. Can I just mention a few more programs, Michelle, and then I will try to mute myself? Okay. I have coming up, someone from Lincolnwood mentioned on the listserv yesterday that they are coordinating with the Illinois Holocaust Museum. And I'm really excited to say that I've figured them out on my own by going to some program at a senior center, virtually, of course. And I am having them do Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Notorious RBG, and this is on February 16th, which is a Tuesday. And I welcome anyone and everyone to sign up. I put the links, I believe, in an email on the listserv yesterday. If you didn't see it, email me and I will be happy to share it with you. We still have spaces. We definitely still have spaces. And I was just so excited that I was able to squeeze in since they are changing over to Nelson Mandela. But I've also hooked up with them for Nelson Mandela. And I'm just excited about finding all these new presenters. You guys should attend more senior center webinars to get, I've gotten so many. One of them is Barry Bradford, who is coming on the 24th, I think. I should actually look at my newsletter. And if you guys have time to come, please come. He's talking about Aaron Sorkin. This guy has such a following. The amount of people that have signed up from elsewhere, he's kind of like Leslie Goddard in that people find her and they want to see her no matter where she is. But I've seen so many of his programs because for some reason, I go to the North Shore Senior Center and the Levy Center in Evanston. They have wonderful, wonderful programs. And that's where I've hooked up with some of these people. I have lots of suggestions.
Excuse me, Leona?
On the 24th, yes.
When you're talking about the Illinois Holocaust Museum, did you say you booked one of their speakers, or you were just taking one of their programs and offering it to your community?
They are doing two. I have Nelson Mandela and Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Since the museum is closed to the public, they are offering virtual tours. And so I have booked them for virtual tours.
Oh, okay.
People normally have to pay if you're going to do one of those individually, but I just booked it for 100 people.
Okay, thank you.
And if you go to their website, I mean, their stuff is incredible there. And who would have thought of Nelson Mandela, with the Holocaust Museum, but they're all about justice. It's just, I mean, it's an overarching theme for them, not just Holocaust. What else? I had the Shed Aquarium come. Robin, are you still here? Yeah. You should really email me, Ed. I'm trying to remember his name. I can't remember his name, but he comes for free and he talks about what is happening in the area along Salt Creek and some of the other places in the Cook County Forest Preserves.
Edward Warden. Edward Warden.
Warden, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he brought to our library, he brought turtles, and this time I think we saw a snake. Whoever just put for the Rhodes Scholars, you guys, this year, they aren't charging if you can't afford it. So apply. You don't even have to pay the $75 fee if you can't. I know I'm jumping around here, but someone just put something in the chat. I should be quiet because I always seem to hijack the meetings, but I will make our newsletters available. Please, if you are interested, go to our website. I'm really proud of the programming that I have lined up, and I welcome people from Mars. I don't care where you're from. If you're interested, or especially as librarians, if you want to check out a presenter before you have them, please come. I mean, I spent so much of COVID sitting in my dining room watching other presenters, because we all know that, what happens virtually is not the same thing as what happens in person in terms of the kind of atmosphere it creates. And it's really important to get people that will be interesting on the screen. So with
Leona,
that,
would you share the contact information for
I would be happy
the
to.
person at the Holocaust Museum for the Mandela program?
All right. Sure.
And then Jez wants to know the senior center names that you.
Sure. I'm just going to say those now, and I'm going to put my email address here because you all know how discombobulated I am. Jez, it's the Levy Center in Evanston and the North Shore Senior Center. And they have amazing, like even Annette Isaacs performs there. I met this great woman, virtually, of course, who's now doing series on diet. She's a dietitian. And it's just really cool because some of these people have never been spread out virtually, and now they have the opportunity. And I was going to answer, Christine. Hey, Christine, I've got Martha now. And I will put my email address in and then I will mute, I promise. Okay, everybody? And feel free to call me too. We are back in the library today because I have a program tonight. I am at home, but I am happy to share because that's what we're all about, beg, borrowing, and stealing. So I'm going mute now.
Anybody else, feel free to jump in here. Things you've done or are looking forward to, questions, anything. I'll promote Jez Lehman. Every program she does is fantastic. She's a librarian, so she knows what you have to deal with. And she's awesome. Jorge and I from River Grove, and I partnered on hosting her hand lettering program. My patrons freaking loved it. So.
Thank you for that.
Okay, I lied. I'm back. Courtney knows about this because Courtney was one who recommended them to me in the first place. And unfortunately, we didn't get to have their display. But in DuPage County, there's the SCARCE, SCARCE, and they have this amazing zero waste program. Absolutely amazing. And obviously, I'm in Cook County, but they still were happy to work with me. And Courtney, may I speak for you to say that either of us would be happy to share that information?
Yes, sorry, my boss came in to talk to me, so I've been out for a bit. So yeah, go ahead.
So Courtney, do you want to talk about it or just have people email us?
So this was kind of a while ago when I had this exhibit, before the pandemic. So I'm not sure the status of it right now. But I know that Scarce is doing virtual programs. I have not had them virtually just because we don't get a ton of attendance for recycling type even though they're very important and useful. I was going to kind of wait until I could have them back in person maybe to do that. But you know, we could always consider it, but it's a freestanding four-sided kind of panel, but it has slots for handouts in it as well, and just information on how to reduce your waste. So you can always reach out to them. And I think it was a free exhibit as well, right?
It was free for DuPage, not for Cook
Oh,
County.
okay.
But I had them come virtually, as I say, speak virtually, and I thought they did an excellent job. It was funny. They were supposed to come this summer, and literally we were going through the prep. And then there was a big storm that came through and they lost all their electricity. But they were so professional and we rescheduled. And, you know, with Earth Day coming up, I don't know if anybody is thinking about Earth Day in April. I had such a wonderful lineup last summer that got screwed up. But that's something to consider.
We are partnering with I believe it's the Morton Arboretum to give away tree saplings for Earth Day, actually. So we're doing it as kind of a big community program. It's 2 parts. should grab my newsletter so I can read it correctly.
On the side, right?
So we're doing a poetry
From my
program, TREE, asking people to submit poems about nature and such, and we'll share them all on our website in May. So the program is called Growing a Better World. So it's technically the trees are coming from the Chicago Region Trees Initiative. They're giving us, I believe, about 150 saplings to give away. Personally, I'm afraid that we're going to end up with all these trees left over, but the other librarian who's organizing it is much more confident than I am. It's going to be kind of a first come, first serve. We're not taking registration for it. We're going to have 2 different times. One is a Saturday morning to afternoon, and then one is a Wednesday evening, hoping that we can get people with different schedules and they can just it's going to be like curbside, essentially. They can come and pick them up. It's suggested 1 per family. I don't think we're going to have staff handing them out. Some of those details are still in the works because it's April. But it'll be honor system, take 1. I don't care if they take more than 1. I'm happy to have people, plant more trees in their gardens, and it's a good family project. So that is what we are doing for Earth Day this year.
Anybody participating in Money Smart Week this year? I know they're doing it all virtually.
It's not Money Smart Week. That's what we're calling
it. Not loud.
Jez was the one who informed everybody.
Because someone else informed me.
Yeah, I saw that too. So basically,
we're doing stuff.
Not to do it, almost.
Yeah, I already have things scheduled for that week because I planned farther ahead. So we're just not calling it Money Smart Week because we're not allowed to, but we offer these programs any other time too, so it's not going to be a problem.
Yeah, that's what we've been kind of offering financial programs throughout because they'll do it for free. So we do usually get a good response in person, but I think we're just going to skip it and just go back next year for in person.
How's everybody's tax season going? Said the tax coordinator for our library.
I just had a meeting. It was my director, my assistant director, my co-supervisor, and I with one of the gentlemen who does the prep with the AARP Tax Aid Foundation. They have no idea what they're doing. And I mean, like last year when it was all canceled very suddenly, I totally get that, you don't know what to do. They have literally had 9 months to plan what they were going to do for this year. And it seems like they just started thinking about it like in January. So they have no idea what they're doing.
Michelle, in their defense, I mean, I've kept a really close contact with our area leader, and most of the volunteers are considered at high risk.
Oh, but I'm not even talking about I'm talking about the AARP Tax Aid Foundation group. Oh. I'm like, it's a national group. They should be a little bit more organized. My library is more organized than this. So I don't know if we're trying to figure out a way they're trying to figure out like a car hop kind of model where they can just go talk to people in their cars and scan things quickly and whatever. And we're trying to figure out a way we can offer it because it's a hugely popular thing here. And we've had people calling since December, but we can't right now our library is closed. I have no idea when we're reopening even for limited services to the public. I mean, we're open for curbside, but we have no patrons in the building, and I don't know when we will. And as of right now, my director has said we cannot do anything where they bring patrons into the building. Everything has to be done either remotely or they got to go talk to them at the car or whatever. And I don't know, they're still trying to figure out details for how they're going to, what kind of procedures they're going to do. And until they know, I'm not telling my patrons about it. We just keep pushing them off on Triton College.
Yeah, we're normally a ARP site, and we've been getting calls since December too. We're trying to compile a list of places that do free or reduced, in addition, to sending people to the government websites. I did run into a woman, it may have been in Courtney's webinar, I can't remember, but she's up north, I think in Buffalo Grove, Care Connections. I'll look it up and let you guys know, but supposedly they are welcoming people for free taxes. But that's where I'm kind of hitting a wall, because I have so many people in our community that still don't have their own computers, don't have their own Wi-Fi, and it's heartbreaking of people calling, my husband died during COVID, I don't know what to do. And it's just difficult.
Stranger?
Yeah, where am I?
I keep a list at the Aurora Public Library. I keep a list for like Kane County, DuPage County area. So we're working on contacting all the people from last year's list to see what, if anything, they're doing this year. It has not been super promising so far, but we're still waiting on some responses. So someone posted in the chat, Ladder Up, they used to have a site right in downtown Aurora, but they're not having it this year. So, so yeah, but if anyone in like Kane, DuPage area wants to trade information, I am more than happy to do that. I know we're going to get a lot of questions.
Jessica, we just started binge boxes. I mean, we just started putting them together. I don't even think we had the microwave popcorn yet. Jez probably knows a lot about that. Sorry to point fingers, Jez. But I'll tell you that anything that's curbside for pickup, people want. They don't even care if the bag is empty. They just want. And it's really exciting to put smiles on people's faces.
We did so our West branch of the Aurora Public Library, every year they would have a seed swap in person where, people would come into the library, they could bring seeds from their garden. We would get gardening companies to donate seeds, usually like vegetable seeds, but some flower seeds as well. So that was a popular program at our West branch. And this year, obviously, we are open for limited in-building services, but we did not want people coming in and like touching a whole table full of seed packets. So we did kits where basically you'd sign up for one and you get 6 random packets of seeds. And we get donations. They're mostly like heirloom vegetables that we get donated. And that was incredibly popular. We made 135 kits and we still have like more than 20 people on the wait list, which is like astonishing. We never get that kind of response to an adult program. So I'm trying to figure out what it was about the seed kit that made people go like absolutely nuts. Because I'd like to replicate that if possible. We're tying into it by having the Illinois Extension Master Gardeners come and do a couple of programs throughout the spring about starting starting seeds and like planting a vegetable garden and things like that. So yeah, so that was really popular, and I have actually spent a lot of time fielding questions about that. It was a fair amount of staff work because we got these donations, and some of them would come in packets of like 50 to 100 seeds. And like one person who's never planted corn before doesn't need 50 to 100 corn seeds. So we split them up into some smaller packets so more people could like try out corn seeds. So it was pretty pretty labor intensive the way that we did it. I am gonna be having nightmares about celery seeds because they're so tiny and you can't like touch them. Basically, I was like, I'm gonna breathe funny and spill. As for who donated the seeds, Janet Stevens, our librarian over at the West Branch, coordinates with them. So I would need to double check with her who she had reached out to, but I can provide that information later. She's been doing this for several years and she has good relationships with some of these places. So
that'd be great. I'd appreciate it. I'm looking for take and make ideas for Geneva. That's really popular with all ages, and I think the seeds would be great for all ages.
Yeah. It seems to have touched upon something. Like we knew that people would be interested. We didn't realize the extent to which they would be interested. So
well, if it's anything like preserving, I mean, it's something you can do in your backyard. So I mean, you can't buy a bicycle now because everybody's bicycling. You couldn't get a snowmobile. All that outdoor stuff is hot right now.
Yeah.
If you are interested in doing seed exchanges, I'm not spreading rumors, but I was listening to NPR this morning, and apparently there is a seed shortage. So if you have your connections, use them.
On the topic of take and make, we just did a art program with Christine Thornton, which I'm sure many of you know her. She's doing them virtually on YouTube now. She hosts the video. She gives us a link. It's available for a week. I did do a live Zoom program also with it because it's a very different format than we've done before. So I wanted to give people a chance to do like some Q&A if they had questions. People really liked that. We did kits for it, which were super easy. You can buy basic watercolor kits in bulk, super cheap. So we had those. We have some watercolor paper, and we put them in the kits and people picked them up. She sent me the stats yesterday. We had 78 views on the video in a week. So I don't know how many of those are patrons who watched it multiple times, but that's still a fantastic amount for that. And then coming up, I have another watercolor program that we're going to do something very similar for. And this is a speaker that I highly suggest. She's another librarian. Cara DiCarlo works at the Orland Park Library. She's an artist also. She put together a fantastic video for me that is zodiac signs. It's kind of like so we have like a ram for Aries. She's got the water bearer for Aquarius. They're beautiful. And she created all the templates for it so people can have the actual drawings to copy. And her video is just very well done. And we're doing, again, very similar kits for that. That one, I also include a size 12 paintbrush because we needed a larger brush. I recommend going through Walmart for that because I had so many problems with Michaels and Amazon that they kept running out and I had to keep putting in new orders. But both of those, the Zodiac class is next Friday, I think. again, it's going to be a video that's available on our YouTube. It's going to be available for about a month. People can do it anytime, but I'm doing a live session with the 20 and 30 somethings to do it together. And I was just very impressed with the video she made. And again, she's a librarian, so she knows what we need in information. So she's kind of on top of things. I will put her website in the chat here. It's karapaints.com. But that was, our craft kits are extremely popular. We run out generally the first or second day. So we are changing our plan for summer. Right now we do pretty much a new kit every week. They're available on Mondays. We're going to switch to every other week and just double the amount that we offer for each one in the hopes that more people can get them, because it is often the same people who get them every week, which they very much appreciate it. And even the people who get there and we run out, they say, you know, I'm so thankful that you offer these. Please keep doing them. I've heard a couple of them, they're like, oh, I didn't get a chance to do this, or I had extra supplies with it. So they would give them to your friends also. So they're all kind of like sharing in their little community. Right now, our goal is 40 kits. So for summer, we're gonna be looking at like 75 to 80. So that does change what we can offer. But honestly, it seems almost easier because the more you buy in bulk, the cheaper it gets. We're doing a self-care program in summer and we're doing a kit with it. And I think it came out to like $1.50 per person. And we're doing like notebooks and candy, and I have different jars for people to make like sugar scrubs and facials. There's actually quite a bit that we have in there, and it's gonna possibly be cheaper than what we were doing for other ones. So we have maybe too much success with our craft kits sometimes, but we are changing that for summer, assuming that there will be many other options for entertainment in summer. People can go outside, they're not gonna be using the library quite as much, but mostly we're just trying to figure out a way to reach more people instead of the same group over and over.
Jazz, for Christine's program, you provide those kits, she doesn't, is that correct? Okay.
Yes. Yeah. I love Christine, and I'm sad that we can't do it in person anymore because she would come prepared with everything. I had to do nothing. So this is a little bit different, but really all you need is a basic watercolor paint set. I mean, I personally own like a Crayola one that I got from the dollar store. So we didn't need anything special. She kind of goes into how to use those simple supplies.
Yeah, I was thinking, I had hired Christine, you know, in person, we'd hire her all the time, but last summer for the Frida Kahlo exhibit at COD, we had her to do the Frida painting program. So I think maybe this summer we're gonna try to have, because I haven't hired her, because we've had really great success with our crafting kits as well. So I think we might try to have her this summer to do something like that. So that's kind of what some of the things we're doing for summer is, because we had the Frida Kahlo programs planned for last summer. So we're just gonna shift them again this summer, and who knows if they're going to be in person, probably not, but we'll see how that goes. I'm pretty sure the exhibit's coming for sure though this summer.
I have quite a few things that I'm like, I had scheduled for last summer and now I'm just moving them to this summer. Like I have a handful of like Olympics things and I'm like, Japan says they're going forward. I'm going to trust them on this and I'm going to schedule it again.
I completely forgot about the Olympics.
I did too.
That might be some good color my world stuff. I'll have to look into that.
Jazz, I have a question for you. How did your turnout go for the organizing for parents in the pandemic? because I had really abysmal attendance. I think I had 11 people. And I was like, all right, I'm not scheduling programs for parents anymore. They're just tuned out.
Yeah.
Because it was such a great program and such awesome content, but just no one showed up. And I think it's because it was geared towards parents, and I should have picked a more general topic. So lesson learned.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact number. I think it was somewhere in like the 20s. It was lower than I expected. We had advertised it as more of a general program. We had talked to her about that, but I think she still, I watched the recording. She did a lot of parenting things. So we had some patrons that were like, I still learned things, but this wasn't really applicable to me as much. Like, it's more for parents. So it was a good program. It was very interesting, but yeah, our attendance wasn't what I would have hoped it was. We do have the recording, and we'll see how that goes. Our parent programs, we had some patrons ask us if we could offer them later in the evening. So we've pushed them back to 7:30 because we weren't getting good attendance, essentially because we were offering them at 7, that was bedtime. And parents are like, we can't do this. Like, we have too many other things. We need to wait until the kids are, settled down for the night. So we've pushed that back, and we've had a little bit better attendance. We haven't done too many at that time yet, so we'll see. But yeah, we had okay attendance.
Yeah, and the speaker's name is Jennifer Barnes, and she was recommended by some other libraries, I think mostly up north, like from the Pulse group. But she was a good speaker, because I know we all do organizing programs, and I hadn't heard of her before. So, and she does organizing and like parenting. So my advice would be to go for an organizing one. And I think she charges $200. Some other libraries got her for cheaper, but she charged us $200. So, Leona, are you trying to say something?
Oh, I just realized I totally forgot about Kaya. I'm putting her on my list to call. Oh my gosh. Oh, yeah. I think the take and makes, Jez, I'm going to have to let my take and makers remember this, but I love the fact that you are not allowing people to reserve them, because it is so confusing, so confusing. For the poor curbside people, just let them grab a bag and bring it out.
We started with registration, and it was a disaster. It was very confusing for our staff especially, but we had tons of people who would reserve one and then never pick it up. And then we would, the next week try to offer it to someone on the wait list. And then we had too many different kits available at once.
That's us.
Too confusing. So we went to a first come, first serve, and things have gone so much more smoothly.
That's the way we're doing it at Geneva as well. It's first come, first serve, and we have kits for adults, teens, 20s and 30s, and kids, and yes, whoever takes them. And we're now open. We opened again on the 20th of January and open our regular hours. And it's sometimes it's busy, but it's sometimes slow. But yeah, the take and makes are extremely popular.
We had senior survival kits and also family survival kits where you got hot chocolate and a variety of things. But one of the things that I thought was so great, and Christine, this was Martha's idea, is that she got, I don't know if she went to the dollar store or whatever, but those Sudoku, is that however you pronounce it, those books, and put them in. And people, again, they want things to keep them busy. And I just thought that was such an excellent idea. And I spent yesterday putting stickers on 100 packets of hot chocolate. So it would appear that we're doing that again.
The take and makes that I'm doing are more craft oriented. And then I did one last week. It was a mini book page wreath using a mason jar lid, the band, and little squares of paper. With a lot of prep going into it, but it was like $50 for 48 kits or something. It was pretty cheap. But I started doing a craft along, so I did it via Zoom, and I only had 2 people come, but I think I've got to get my audience going again. But so I'm handing out the kits, and then they can also register for the craft along, so they get the feeling of having a community again, which is, I think, what a lot of people like about crafting is that they can get together with people and do something the same, and everybody has their own take on it. So I'm trying to do it virtually. We'll see how that goes.
I, first of all, have no craft sense whatsoever. I can't even color in between the lines, and no one lets me use the scissors. But I will tell you that what we are discovering is Zoom almost seems too stiff for craft and 2030s things. Thank you, Jez. We have been using Facebook Live, not me personally, but the people that are doing those kinds of things, and it seems to be hitting the proper note.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. We've been using Ring Central meetings because that's who our phones are with, and it's run by Zoom, but it's a different app, and people had trouble getting in. So now we've got a Zoom license and using it limited just for our programming team. There's only 3 of us that are using that, so we're just getting people used to using that. So and I don't have any control of Facebook at all. That's a separate person. So I don't even want to get into that with that person having control of Facebook and letting me do something on there. So for now, I will do what I'm doing. And I mean, I'm this month it's Sew a Felt Cat. It looks like Pusheen. I haven't done mine yet. It's so cute. And if you go on Programming Librarian, the website, you can Google it there. It's really cute. So we'll see how well that does, and I'll have them craft along. And I have one patron who's in Japan right now. Her in-laws are ill, so she's there with them, and she's crafting with me from Japan, which is pretty awesome. It looks good on a board report.
Jez, I don't know if you also mentioned your astrology program. I'm just promoting Jez. Go ahead.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So I do a series of job hunting programs. I have 4 of them. So that is resumes, cover letters, phone and video interviews, and in-person interviews. And then I do a handful of crafts. Some of them I can't do right now because they were more hands-on. A couple of them, like the hand lettering class that Michelle mentioned, are actually better virtual because, you know, people can actually see what I'm doing a little bit closer. I'm doing a nail art program next week, which is very similar. It definitely works better in video, if only so I can cut out all the time waiting for the paint to dry. So I have some like that. I do bullet journaling, which I wasn't going to do virtually originally because so much of it was hands-on, but a couple libraries talked me into it, and I'm actually very happy with the results. And then I do astrology. I have an intro program, and I have an intermediate program now also. And everything I do, I can do live, or I can give you a pre-recorded one that you can have on your YouTube for a while. The job hunting ones especially work well as a recording because people like to access that, you know, on their own schedule. And with like the resumes and cover letters, they can pause it, edit what they're doing, come back. All of those, I also have pages on my website for them that have additional resources as well as all the slides and sometimes some templates. The intermediate astrology, so far I've only done recorded, but I do have a couple coming up that are live. So I do a wide variety. I will say though that I am booked through June right now. So if you're interested for summer, please talk to me soon.
Jez, what about that one that I'm trying to remember, we were in the car and I'm like, do it, the one about Chicago?
Yes, so that one I'm not doing right now.
But that'd be perfect for summer, anyone who wants a staycation type thing.
Yeah, so I do 30 things in Chicago under $30. It was a very popular program. I'm not doing it right now because so many of the things I mention are not open or they have limitations. And, you know, by the time I book something and it comes around, they could be completely different. So that is on hold until the end of the pandemic, I guess.
So we can't book you for that for summer or?
No.
All right, I call first dibs. Let me know when you're doing it.
You're on my list of people that get first dibs, actually.
Okay. Seriously though, Jez will knock your socks off. She will. So if you guys want a sure thing, Jez is your woman.
Thank you.
And I need to talk to you about the job searching and the phone interview stuff again.
Mm-hmm.
I need that. Is anybody else doing job search or resume type programs? I just feel so awful that the people who really need it are the ones who don't have their own computers, because that's how we were helping so many people.
We've been doing more job programs. I'm no longer in charge of them, which feels weird to me, but we've been working with People's Resource Center and Goodwill Workforce. We're going to be working with the Community Networking Center, which is one of my favorites. Our attendance has gone way up.
Ooh.
Like job hunting programs, you know, you would get like maybe 10 people because it's so dependent on people's schedules and like, you know, they may not be job hunting right then, or what I would run into is people would ask me at the desk for help on resumes and I would say, oh, we have a program next week. And they're like, no, I want help right now. Like I'm not interested in next week. We've been getting like 20 to 25 people for job hunting programs, which was a huge surprise to me. They are also all in the morning or early afternoon, which I was unsure about. I have asked that we do at least once a quarter an evening program for people who are employed but are looking for something different or are underemployed. So we will be doing that for summer, I suppose. But yeah, there's a lot more interest, which is good because we're offering something the community needs, but it's kind of sad that it's, you know, so necessary right now.
We were discussing putting together kits to give out as, you know, like your take and make, but for jobs or for the, you know, resumes and for different service kind of things, like how to advise how to organize, you know, a sheet of paper or something in a kit with maybe a little giveaway, but we haven't fleshed that out yet.
I know that this is more part of the big listserv, the business interest group, but we have been trying to have our lunch and learns once a month on Fridays. And if anybody has any ideas of presenters, that would be really helpful because I kind of had to take it over and luckily I've just given it back, but I have no idea. The last person we had was talking about small business creating trusts. Laurel, that movie sounds cool. Although When are you showing this? Oh, you haven't scheduled it yet. Okay.
If you need really easy idea for take-home kits, I'm telling you right now, the paint by sticker books, it all comes in the book. You just gotta tear out the pages and match the sticker pages to the actual paint page. And then we just did in January, because I was off for 2 weeks, so I didn't want to do a kit that I had to put a lot of work into. I bought Bob Ross water painting books. And literally, it's like when you were a little kid, it's like paint with water. It's, you dip the paintbrush in water, and you brush the water on, and they're all Bob Ross paintings that you're painting. And our patrons loved it.
I'm back. So I just wanted to, I'm not sure if I got this from this group or from the Facebook programming group, but Entertainment Concepts, the people who do the drive-in style movies at the library. I am shocked our village decided to team up with us and cut the cost of this program, because it's $1,600 for this program. Lucky for us, we do have a decent sized parking lot. I know, Michelle, you would probably do awesome with taking over the whole parking lot of Jewel, but I think I'm going to get a 45-foot screen here, and we could host up to 25 cars, I want to say, based on Swank, is it Swank? Whoever our movie licensing is, for that. So I'm crossing my fingers. I'm still waiting. Luckily for me, our board president is the president for the historical commission as well. So I'm going to see if they want to team up and possibly give like water bottles out to the people to cut the cost on that. But yeah, we're going to see how that goes. I'll post pictures and see how it is. But if you guys have parking lots or have good collaborations with your park districts or whatnots, I think that's a decent program. I know $1,600 is a lot, but if you could afford it or team up with others in your community, I think it might be worthwhile, since we can't show movies inside the library anymore.
So you do your
With the
movie.
Swank license knows, they expanded the outdoor your blanket license includes showing certain movies outdoor now, temporarily because of COVID. Hope everybody knows that.
So will they be able to listen to the movie in their car, like on the radio? Okay.
Yeah, so according to this, they bring everything. They're all self-sustained, and they bring a transmitter for an FM transmitter, which is funny because it used to be an AM transmitter, I think, back in the day. So yeah, you can listen to the movies in the car. It's HD 1080, and surround sound. Let's see here. Like there's 45 foot, 65 foot, and 35 foot screens. For that, I think the 65 foot is $2,100. Unfortunately, because of the sun, most of the movies start around 9 o'clock. It's a half an hour after sundown.
Christine, did I see that you're doing in-person programs? How are you handling those?
At Geneva, we're not doing in person yet. Although I've been given the go ahead for up to 25 people, but right now I'm only allowed to do programming that's free, and that really limits what I'm going to get people to come and see. Okay. I mean, they want Leslie Goddard, they want those big people, and I don't have a budget right now, nothing. So
are you doing any special setup?
for.
For the programs, when they come, when your participants arrive?
Well, if we, I only did one in-person program, and that was in November, and it was a craft program. We used the meeting room. I made it a maximum of 10 people, and I had 10 tables spaced more than 6 feet apart. They all had their own tools on their table. And then I had an Elmo camera, so I showed it, on the AV in the meeting room. So I didn't have to go and show anybody. That really worked well. But yeah, they have to register. There's no walk-in whatsoever, and sanitizer at the door. I mean, it was great. I had 3 people, 3 of the ladies that love to craft, but the end of that week, we shut down again and before Thanksgiving. So that was my one and only for 2000 for COVID. But they're talking about letting us do it again. I'm really leery about doing in person, just because. And if we did it in the meeting room and we had a presenter at all, the maximum is 25 people, and we'd have to space the chairs out unless they're from the same family, and then they could sit together. So there'd be a lot of prep to, set the meeting room up correctly. But that's still in the works. I haven't even got anybody booked. And like I said, I'm only doing free stuff, and the chances of getting somebody for free that's going to draw even 25 people are pretty slim. So thanks for asking. If anybody has any great ideas for free presenters, I've reached out to the King County Audubon Society, so I'm going to be working with them to do a program on eagles, because we have them up and down the Fox River. I've got the meditation through, I can't remember her name right now, but
Pamela.
Pamela, yes. So, I mean, she's easy to book. I had her booked within, 24 hours. So I do have meditation coming up in 2 weeks. But, I've only got 4 people signed up to do it by Zoom. So we'll see. I mean, we didn't start programming right at the very beginning. So I think we missed our window. And so our community is not looking to us for Zoom programming at the moment, or virtual. So unless it's craft related, I don't think we're going to have a big audience. But they may prove me wrong, and I'd be pleasantly surprised.
I have a question for everyone that's considering outdoor programming this summer, especially now that Jorge brought up the idea of the drive-in movie. If only we lived in San Diego and we could know that the weather was going to be great. Has anyone thought about like contingencies, or are they putting something different in their contracts? I mean, I'm going to be doing a meditative, believe it or not, I can try to shut up once in a while, a meditative walking group, because there has been a request for that. And so if it rains, then it's just me, it doesn't cost anything. But if you are doing things outside, are you putting things in your contract that will arrange for an alternative date without losing money? Has anyone thought about that?
We are looking at outdoor programs possibly, but we're only doing them in-house. We're not doing outside presenters. And I'm just booking a rain date from the beginning. Like saying, okay, here's the date. And then if it doesn't work out, here's the next date.
That's an awesome idea, the rain date.
We're still looking at options. We're trying to figure out some kind of outdoor space. Right now, it sounds like we might be renting a tent for the summer to do things outdoors. If we do anything, it's going to be very few things. I know the children's department is doing things with the park district, so they can do them outside, and the park district has given us permission to use some kind of special paint that we can, paint like large circles on the ground so everyone has to stay like in their bubble. I'm not sure what kind of specific program she's planning. At the moment, I am not planning anything in person, but we'll see.
Thanks, Jess. Has anyone even been thinking about it?
I've been thinking about it because we do some outdoor concerts in the summer. for those of you who do outdoor concerts, have you been thinking about it? Because I've been getting calls and emails from bands asking, are you doing outdoor concerts?
Courtney, back to part B of my question. Do you have special wording in your contracts for outdoor events?
Well, no, I haven't started planning any for this summer, but in the
I
past,
mean, in the past though, because of weather.
well, what we do, our rain out plan is we move the concert inside the library.
Okay.
But with COVID, I don't think I'd feel comfortable doing that. Although I guess if it's under 50 people per the new guidelines, but I wouldn't feel comfortable with that. So with, these bands that cost, upwards of $1,000, you want to have a rain out plan. So yeah. Does any of you do concerts or thinking about it? Because otherwise I was kind of, last summer we were thinking about doing a few outdoor things, but they would all be free. So yeah, wasn't worrying too much about the rain out.
I put it in the chat, but as far as I know, we're not planning any in-house inside programming for the rest of this year. I think the metric we're going by is we need to see herd immunity, which I think is like 70-75% of people vaccinated before we'd even consider it. We have, like, casually, the program people have talked about us just doing, like, the kids librarians doing an outdoor story time, or something led by a staff member or staff members outside. I don't think we would hire anybody for outside, because it's just not, anybody we would hire would be a big draw, and then even though you're outside, it gets a little bit worrisome for me. Plus, we don't have, for some reason, we have like one electrical outlet outside where we have our lawn. So it's, yeah.
Lisa, I'm wondering if you can take your human library program outside. You should contract yourself.
Yeah, no, that's actually an interesting idea. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that at all. I mean, I suppose we could space out the tables and chairs and stuff. And yeah, I'll definitely have to think about that. Thank you.
Let me know if you are planning on doing it, because I think, especially with DEI, that would be a really cool type of programming.
Right. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Keep me posted.
All right, will do. Has anybody else done a human library recently?
Is Ryan still on here? I thought he did one, or he tried. No, I think he left.
Well,
I thought about it, but I wanted to use an organization, because there is a human library organization out there. I want to say they're in the Fox Valley area. And
yeah, there's a couple.
Well, I reached out to them pre-pandemic and never heard back. So
I think I had reached out to them the first time I tried planning one and never heard back either. So I actually talked to there's an organization out of Chicago that does it. So I talked to somebody from there, and they were able to give me some tips and stuff on doing it. Sorry, I'm gonna take this off for a minute. So they were able to give me some tips on doing it. But they kind of do their own they do multiple events, but they have their own group of volunteers to pull from. So I was kind of on my own finding volunteers through local community organizations and personal contacts. So did somebody have other questions about the human library? Somebody said details. Just wondering what else.
Yeah, just wondering how you did it, Lisa.
So I So to do it official human library, you have to pay for a license. I believe it's humanlibrary.org. It's out of, shoot, I forget, somewhere in Europe is where the actual organization is based. So we applied for a one-time license, and then they have all these agreements you have to agree to. Basically, I reached out to different, when I did it, I was in Frankfurt, so I reached out to different organizations in Frankfurt. Like they have an interfaith group, and then at one point I had reached, there was a home, I remember if it was a home or an organization to help adults with disabilities. So the second year I actually had a couple of disabled people participate. And then a lot of it was just reaching out to personal contacts, like LGBTQ. I had a sober alcoholic. I had, I had a few different people of different faith. I had a Jewish gentleman, a couple Muslims. I had a couple people from NAMI, the mental health organization, one was talking about living with her mental illness, and the other one was her mother talking about, kind of loving someone with a serious mental illness. So that was kind of it. I mean, it was a lot of work. And then once I had everybody, I created a binder that people could look through. So like name what their identity was, and then like a description kind of. So I made a few copies of that so people could look through and decide, hey, this is someone I want to talk to. And then, yeah, I think officially you're supposed to kind of have a conversation with everybody ahead of time to, make sure they know what they're getting into and what kind of stuff they're going to talk about. I didn't do that, but that it definitely is something that, it's recommended just to know, what people are gonna want to say and things like that. I didn't, let's see. I mean, the only pushback I got was like, well, people get bullied for all kinds of reasons. I got bullied because I was short. Why don't I count? And so that was, it was interesting to have those kind of conversations. Like, yes, being bullied is different than discrimination, that kind of thing. And then I had the first year, like I just kind of listed like in the advertising, I just listed a bunch of different identities. And one of them was trans, and I was unable to find a trans person, but like, so this guy showed up and like looked through the binder, and he's like, oh, they didn't show up, blah, blah, blah. And so like, I was like, was he intending to come in here and cause a problem? So luckily he just, he turned around and walked away when he realized that whoever he wanted to harass wasn't someone who was participating. But yeah, other than that, it went really well. I was disappointed with my turnout. I went to a human library at Evanston, and they were packed. And they had a lot, like they had somebody who had participated in like in the civil rights movement and had known Martin Luther King. They actually had a drag queen. And they had, just a bunch of other different people. That I think one was like a gay man who's also Christian. So, you can talk about how he reconciles that with the church and different things like that. So I got a lot out of it. Like when I went to Evanston, I was able to talk to like 5 different human books, and I learned a lot, from being a participant, and also, and then also was able to bring that into, putting one on. So I really enjoyed it. Leona called me your hero, so that feels good. But yeah, so that's kind of it. I'm happy to answer more questions. I feel like I'm kind of long-winded, but yeah, if anybody has more questions, I'm happy to answer those.
I kind of have an idea. Courtney, I'd like to kind of throw you in here too. What if we were able to do, and maybe Patrick and Chris, you want to get involved in this too, just since you guys are set up for the big Zoom set. What if we were able to do a panel, a human library as a panel, but people would have to submit questions so that we could remove the harassers and the bullies. And I think that Patrick and Chris, because you've already started organizing, Lisa is really the perfect person to ask questions about, but maybe we could do a group thing where we each recommended people. And Lisa, I'm touting you because you put so much work into that program. I mean, just amazing, absolutely amazing. And I think that you'd be the best consultant for something like that. And don't worry about Evanston. I grew up there and they have tons of money, so they can do everything they want. That'd be now West Sider. But I mean, how many people, I can't see a lot of people because most of you are hiding, but how many people would be interested in a panel like that? And Courtney, based on all the panels you did, what do you think?
Well, my first thought was, I thought human libraries, like, isn't the point to kind of be one-on-one? Someone correct me if I'm wrong, though. That was just my first thought, though.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, I like the idea of a panel, but I don't know that calling it a human library would work, just because the concept is to have the one-on-one conversation. But I don't know if you had any other thoughts about it.
And that's another thing. If you do a human library on Zoom, I kind of feel better about doing it in person, just so there's that accountability, that it's respectful and everything. That, otherwise.
I think it is something that's, we think about post-pandemic when we can do it, in the whole library or in the whole parking lot or whatever, and you don't have to worry about social distancing and masks. And I just think that's a better thing to wait till later.
Okay, 2022.
So does anybody else
Hi,
have anything they want to talk about?
Do you guys, hi, do you guys know that the Atlas Libraries does a geocache? We've kind of broadened it. We've been getting Will County people, libraries. We're doing it all out. We did it all outdoors this past year. It's about the 9th year we're doing it. And I thought, hey, let's expand it. Maybe this will be a way to get people out. I'm sending you the link and I'm putting it in the chat. Megan Vasquez at Crete Library is in charge of it. And there's like a form to fill out, like if you're interested or if you want to contact her. But we make a clues, and then we give a $25 gift card out. I think each library has to buy the gift card. We used to get the money from Atlas itself. And, but now we've had a lot of different people go out, and based on the clues, they have to solve a puzzle. They have to locate the longitude and latitude, and then take a picture of a QR code that you've hidden outside. And that's how they log in as a passive program. So we usually run that along the same time period as summer reading. So here is the link.
Thanks. I actually filled out the link for Lamont maybe a month or two ago because we were not Atlas members, but I got one email back from, I think, Emily at Oak Lawn, and she said she was going to follow up like once things were a little more set. Do you?
You don't have to be a member of Atlas, as far as I know.
Oh, really? Okay.
No, because I live out here in Manhattan, and I told the people out here in here, and she jumped on it. So they were part of our group. We've gone, God, it's very expanded. We've had up to about 30 libraries. I can't remember. I know Palos is one of the Paloses. I've gone Lansing, Matson, of course. I think Orland was. I'm not, you don't even have to be part of Rails, part of Swan. It's like, I'm sorry. But I sent you the link, and Megan and at Oak Lawn.
Okay, anybody else want to mention anything real quickly? Ask any questions? No? All right, guys. I put it on the, hold on a second. Let me pull up the Google group. Our next meeting is May. I'm assuming again on Zoom. If you would like to host on your Zoom, you can email me, let me know, or post it in the group. Otherwise, I'm happy to host. I have got to get the hang of using this Zoom. I have no excuse not to know how to do things on it. May 6th, Thursday, May 6th, 9:30. And until then, post it in the Google group. And I'll see you guys in May, hopefully. Everybody take care.
Thank you.
Be well.
Bye.